There we go.
There we go. It says live.
Yeah.
You're not really.
Welcome back.
Oh, sorry. I was answering Curtis. Sorry, we're not really live. It says live, but we're not live type of thing. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, it's recording. We are technically live. I mean, this is happening in real time. So, welcome back to This Film Not Rated, a branch of the Music City Drive-In Podcast Network. Nope, just the Drive-In Podcast Network. I'm Eric.
And I am Curtis.
And here today we have special guest star, head of the Drive-In Network, Ricky Valero. How are you doing today, Ricky?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited to be here with you guys. One of my favorite shows to watch. One of the very few shows that I watch and listen to is you guys' show. So I'm excited to be here and not fulfill the task at hand, but I'm going to try anyway.
No, I'm so excited to see how you handle the gauntlet, just because we've had a long time of just talking about different movies, and I like when there's one that gets under your skin that you want to either root for or that you absolutely can't stand. So the joke was going to be that pull the rug out from under you, make you do Uncut Gems. But today we're talking about Babylon. So you're going to run through the gauntlet, have to be completely objective about it. When you say something subjective, you hear a buzzer noise, and then we just kind of talk freely about the movie. Can you tell us a little bit about what Babylon is?
Damien Chazelle's fourth feature film is kind of set in the 1920s Los Angeles, in a time frame of whenever the silent era of films was transitioning into what there's called as the talkies. And it's a wild ride. I mean, it is, and it's kind of crazy to see a lot of that kind of happened in this time frame and kind of see how it all transpired. Now, obviously, some of it might not be as true, but it's crazy when you read if you just go to IMDb and read the synopsis, you're like, come on, guys,
All right, well, if you're ready, we're going to go ahead and get you started, and we're going to move into the first question, which is pretty simple. Is Babylon a good or bad movie?
A lot of people have stated that the movie is not a good movie, and there's a lot of people that have said they love the movie. And to be honest with you, I think that they're both correct in their statements in saying that the movie is good or bad. People have their opinions on some aspects of the film that I would lean that maybe they could be right, but then on the other side of it, they could be wrong.
So you've heard arguments that you think are strong on both sides.
The case can be made for both the people that do like the film and don't like the film.
That right there, that's the answer that gets you through question one. Okay. So, what was the best scene in the movie?
My good friend Kenzie told me about a scene that she really, really enjoyed. And it was the scene where at the beginning of the movie where the Margot Robbie and kind of Diego Calva meet for that first time. And I really liked that was her favorite scene.
Nice. So
yeah, that's
what should be cut out of the movie?
I've heard from a lot of people on the internet that probably 30 minutes should be cut from this film. So apparently it has a really long runtime to literally everybody that watches the movie. So
that's close to literally everyone that watches the movie. Is real close. I'm gonna do one more. I'm gonna say who's the best actor in the movie. I'm gonna see if you could.
I read a review from a friend of mine, Robert Daniels, who talked about the story arc of Brad Pitt and how it kind of correlated with his personal life and how it might be his career best performance. And I was impressed with his writing of who he thought was the best character in the film.
But can you give me an objective reason why Brad Pitt? I know that you're saying that you enjoyed.
Yeah, performance-wise, you see some similarities within the story arc of Jack Conrad and with Brad Pitt together, that kind of maybe you see some similarities of what he's going through in his everyday life currently with what Jack Conrad was going with at the end of his career, from transitioning from the silent era to the talkies. And he brought that to life in several different ways. I'm failing miserably at this, guy.
You're not, because the only thing is I'm looking for a little bit of a grip that lets you land on saying like, and that's why he's the best. That's the hard part. If we could just get to the point that it's like, you know, because everything that you're saying I agree with and is factual, but the big like
it's hold on, let me rephrase what I was gonna say. Hold on.
Yeah.
Happens a lot.
What Daniels was saying was about his performance is just how character driven it was and how vital he was to the overall story and kind of piecing together Diego Calva's story at the same time of his story. And you see a lot of emotional aspects of a fallen hero maybe even in his own mind. And even the people in the film industry as a collective whole of how he was, you know, quickly being phased out, like we've seen with many actors for a lot of different years. You know, you have those moments where you're strong and then the next thing you're forgotten about. So it's kind of conveying the honest approach of that falling star, as you could say.
Okay. All right. I am going to say I like your answer, but just because we can't, like, it's a very strong thing. I'm actually just more excited to talk about Brad Pitt.
Yeah, me too.
We don't have something to compare. Like I feel like a strong argument can be made for Margot Robbie going through a time period in her life also that does this kind of thing. And
if you ask me, I mean, there's 4 great performances in this film, and there's probably more than that. But
yeah,
I mean,
so it's to say that one of them is the best. I don't think we quite got to edging out why one is the best out of other ones, and so either way, awesome. You know, getting to 4 questions is something that I rarely do. So so
I think I've done it once.
all right, so we're out of the gauntlet, and so I honestly, hopefully, want to hear from Ricky then Curtis. Ricky, what made you want to watch Babylon?
I am the biggest Damien Chazelle fan in the entire universe. I have adored Chazelle. I love his work. I literally rewatched Whiplash the other day and was just completely engrossed by that film all over again. And he's just so good at what he does, and he's so good whenever. And the thing about it is, he takes his time with his work. You know what I mean? I mean, every film that he's made, he's written for, you know, quite a long time. But in this particular instance, obviously, he took a lot of time to make this film. But Chazelle is just my favorite director. He doesn't miss, in my opinion. Whiplash was incredible. La La Land is literally one of my all-time favorite movies. And First Men was just, yeah, exactly. I got a poster here. I can't see it, but
yeah,
I've got a poster.
Here for it.
I've got a La La Land poster. I've got a picture my wife bought me of Damien Chazelle that's autographed. I have the First Men patches that they gave out at the
so this was
screening.
Right. So this is so
easy for you to be objective about it.
Yeah. No, but yeah, no. To pile on what you're saying, the only thing I've seen of Damien Chazelle's is La La Land, and the one thing that I can say about La La Land is it's a very visually striking movie. You almost don't need the dialogue in that film to understand what's going on pacing wise. That on top of that, it's a musical, which I think is different from anything he's done. I know Whiplash is a drama about a drummer. That's about as much as I know about that film.
La La Land is a musical, but all of his movies are musical.
But that visual form of storytelling, you see like almost right from the start of Babylon, like starting with the party, with that fantastic crane shot that's going all the way around and ducking in and out of people through the entire party, and you're getting a visual idea of the high life of Hollywood glamour without it being verbally told to you. And then when you're on set with Margot Robbie and you see the franticness of these actors on set, and it's as wild as it is. It's very much controlled chaos, and you get a sense of free flowing artistry coming from everything that's going on. And just as the movie goes on, it gets more and more straight laced as the culture around America kind of tightens up and gets more snooty is the best way that I can describe it. Going
Prudish,
all the
whatever.
prudish is probably a better word.
No, I like snooty.
Just culminating in Margot Robbie trying to assimilate into high society and failing, and just at that just with the she finally gives up, and it's basically it's a more
so this
impactful version of the New York, you think you're better than me speech.
Yes. So this is we're in the question. What do you like and what do you dislike about the movie? And that was one of the highlights to me. I think was Margot Robbie eating until she throws up. Like that.
That's partly because of
as
all the
far
alcohol
as
she
we
drank.
were. Let's be clear. This is a movie that literally makes you wade through a fountain of elephant shit before you can even start to watch things. Okay.
Yes.
So expectations were a little bit thrown off, and then it's like, oh, here's some familiar stuff from Damien Chazelle, and then it's like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And that was the whole movie to me, was, oh hey, this is, oh my gosh, what's happening, over and over again. But I really like that ride. Ricky, what did you like and what did you dislike about the movie?
So as far as what I like, there's a thing that I fall in love with, and I love his storytelling. You know what I mean? You fall in love with his characters. I think that he writes characters just about as good as anybody else does in Hollywood right now. And first, you start with Manny. I mean, obviously, what's not to love about Manny and Manny's arc? You know what I mean? It's like Manny has this vision of what he wants to be and what he doesn't want to be, and then eventually turns into the person that he doesn't want to be. And then ultimately, when he turns into that person, everything from there kind of just falls down this trickle down of just, oh my God, what the hell have I done type of thing. And then, of course, you have Margot Robbie. You know what I mean? You have the movie star that wants to be the movie star that isn't the movie star, but then becomes the movie star, but then can't exactly get her life together. You know what I mean? And then, of course, you have their uncharacteristic love story that I loved very much so, that nobody else did. And yes, it's very much a one-sided love story. If you look at it so many different ways. And I thought about this the other day, and I couldn't wait to say it on this show just because I've done several different things about this movie. But to me, I've seen the movie 3 times. I have not seen it in theaters yet. I saw it 3 times in the confines of my house though. But watching it each time, I think it was like the relationship, it bothers people because it's so one-sided. But for me, I felt like Manny felt like that was his home, his safe space. He always wanted her to thrive. Sure, he was probably in love with her. You know what I mean? I'm not going to discredit that. But I love their relationship because I feel like he felt like he could fix her. You know what I mean? And I feel like we always have that person in our lives that we feel like over and over again that we can fix. And time again, no matter how much we try, we fail over and over again. And then, of course, you go to Jack Conrad, who I personally feel like this is my second favorite Brad Pitt performance of all time. I think that he's absolutely brilliant in this film as Jack Conrad. There's several different scenes that I'm blown away. And then the Margot Robbie, I think it's Margot Robbie's best performance. And then I don't want to go on and on here, and then of course, one performance that I think that's not talked about enough is Jean Smart. I thought
The Critic.
Yes, the Critic. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I was waiting on her all the time. Her conversation with Brad Pitt was flat out my favorite scene in the movie.
It's brilliant. She's brilliant. Like, that character is so good because she's a terrible person. You know what I mean? She's
kinda, yeah.
She's like a National Enquirer back in the 1920s type of thing that was just ready to dish out the dirt whenever she could. But you know what I mean? Like, she used Brad Pitt Jack Conrad just as much as Jack Conrad used her. You know what I mean? Like, it was a give and take relationship. But yeah, I loved her. There's not very many performances in this. I love Olivia Wilde's in this movie for 30 seconds, and it might be one of my favorite scenes of the year where she just, where she kicks Brad Pitt and she's like, use that accent one more time. Use it one more time, I'm going to divorce you. And then, of course,
I didn't recognize that as
I wasn't even sure that was her until but she was just what a great introduction for him. And then oh my gosh, who is she? She's rapidly becoming basically a scream queen, but she deserves more than that. She's super talented. She's the person that Margot Robbie's character overshadows.
Yeah, Samara.
Yeah.
Yeah,
her also. Yeah, she just set the stage for what time period they were in a great way. Yeah. Performances all around. And then just camera work. Like, oh my gosh. Damien Chazelle just makes me, but you probably want to just like,
he knows where to have the camera, and it's
crazy.
Like absurd. But Curtis, what about you?
Or what I don't know what I didn't like. We're gonna go around for what we like first.
Oh no, what did you not like? I'm curious.
See, that's the thing. All right, so seeing it 3 times, I didn't feel the runtime. Not one time in 3 times watching, I never felt the runtime, but I do feel like it probably could have been shorter. Like, and that's just, it might have had one too many intertwines of stories. I do think that every story gets a pretty little bow on it, even though some people don't want to say that Margot Robbie's story, Nellie's story wasn't exactly bow written but she walked off into the dark. I get it. You know what I mean? But for me, my only strong bone to pick is maybe it's like 15, 20 minutes too long, but I didn't feel, and I'm a guy that I hate long movies with a fucking passion. Sorry, with a passion. I hate long. Every movie should be like an hour and a half, and that's it. So
Margot Robbie's entrance and exit.
Yep.
The more I think about it, the more perfect it gets. I was really kind of pissed off actually when I was watching it, but thinking about who she was to him,
and
that's kind of a weird, frustrating thing. Is I feel like I never quite got to know her as a person. I got you know her more as an icon, and I feel like I never quite got to know him as an icon. You just learn in retrospect that he, you know. So yeah.
I mean, that kind of makes sense with Margot Robbie's character. If you're looking at this movie through the eyes of Manny, where she is, where she represents the idyllic sense of what Hollywood is, and that spark of passion, and him doing whatever he can to try and preserve that. So that makes sense for Margot Robbie, and it kind of I guess with Brad Pitt's character, where he's the entrance for Manny into this world that he kind of falls into.
Yeah,
I agree. I love the introductions to basically every character, and then of course whenever you have the interactions between Manny and basically everybody, you know what I mean. There's not a character that I don't really feel like he had, like a pivotal character that he doesn't have a sequence with, you know what I mean? Because even his very first introduction to Jean Smart's character, he's introduced to her as this person that you should never be around. You know what I mean? Like, never be around this woman. And you understand throughout the film, like, people like, there's little things that I feel like the replay, you have to watch this movie multiple times. You know what I mean? Some might hate it more the second time. Some might like it. It's like, you know, it is what it is. But I don't know. It's
Yeah, that's our third question, is what would make you want to watch it again. But we'll get to that in a second. But Curtis, I want to know, what do you not like about the movie?
I think the Tobey Maguire section kind of drags on a little bit too long. Like, you don't have to have that entire scene where you're going into the underground and you see the guy eat the rat. I mean, I guess
sounds cool when you say it, though.
Yeah, I guess there's some symbolic value to it, where you get to see that despite how glamorous Hollywood's trying to be on the surface, there's this dark underbelly of just brooding villainous and hatred going on, like just disgusting, inhuman crap. But you don't need that scene. Like, just the mansion scene alone kind of hits that home already when they're dropping off the money.
It's a hard argument whether you need something or not, because what it made me think of is, it made me think of Alfred Molina in Boogie Nights.
Like, I haven't seen Boogie Nights yet, so
it's very much the same kind of tone. So you replace glitz and glamour of Hollywood with glitz and glamour of the golden age of porn in the 70s or whatever, and you have Boogie Nights. And but you know, that's wildly different. Like Thomas Anderson and Damien Chazelle are not even remotely similar. But there is still this scene where the characters just get in a desperate place and have to go into basically a coke den, and there's like fireworks snapping off and everything is like horrifyingly uncomfortable. And that was what I just didn't I agreed that I didn't feel like that tone was quite needed. But at the same time, it's really more that I was missing, like, because Diego Calva's going after something for Margot Robbie
Mhm.
and it's not for him. You know, there's something about his character that's just built by other characters. It's not
Yeah.
on its
And-
own. And
yeah.
so that was my only real gripe, is like by the time we got there, I was like, man, we are really focused on everyone but him. Like,
Yeah.
so
But I did like everyone's character. I did like everyone's character arcs, especially Manny's. How the more he gets sucked into this life, the more he compromises his own morals and his own identity, to the point where the jazz musician that he brought into the spotlight, he's now asking to put on blackface makeup to try and sell a movie down in the South.
Yep.
And there's nothing comfortable about that scene. And it shows it illustrates the integrity between the two different characters, where he did it the one time and then just never came back because he didn't want to do that again. It just, like, this whole movie is basically shining a spotlight on the glamour and the dark side of Hollywood, almost to the point where it's trying to be real about it and not trying to, like, put a polish on anything, to the point where at the very end, when Manny's left and it's 32 years later and he goes to a movie theater and you get to see all these clips from film that have been iconic and groundbreaking in the industry, and it ends on his face with this mixture of, like, shock, awe, sadness, and I guess hope of what's to come, because it's stuff that he's missed out on, but stuff that he's excited to see what's going to come later. That's kind of what I got from that final scene.
Ooh. See, that's interesting. That's that what do you call it? The Kuleshov effect.
Mhm.
Because even though, like, the Wikipedia synopsis says that he smiles
Mhm.
and describes it as looking at the influence he had of what they built over time.
What's that too? Yeah.
Well, no, it's just crazy. It's interesting to take. I love when that happens, when you have a moment
Mhm.
and you have people read it so different, because then it sort of tells you, like, all it is a picture of a guy, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
smiling at something.
Yeah.
right. And
The-
so I
the-
love when that kind of thing happens.
Yeah. The thing that gives it meaning is the context of the entirety of the film before that shot.
Yeah. It's funny. I thought I was done watching Avatar this year, and then bam. Yeah. So I mean, I
Yeah,
want to
so-
watch this again, just because what you were talking about is I just don't feel like I can digest it the first time. And that's the thing, is it is long, but I don't know how many times I have time that I want to fill 3 hours of it with this.
Yeah.
But I feel it.
Yeah.
You know, just getting to go into this weird, twisted world for a little while, you know, it seems like
Yeah.
something I would do.
I think
Yeah,
you
but
grow to appreciate things a little bit more. I do. I felt that every time I watched it. Funny thing that you guys are talking about the message of the film. Somebody had tweeted this out, and it's hilarious because you have the idea of the love. It's like that love letter to cinema in
Mhm.
some aspects, but it's also like a big fuck you to cinema. at some aspects.
Yeah.
Somebody said if The Fabelmans is the love letter to cinema, Babylon is the ransom note to cinema.
Yeah.
And
Yes, that's actually a good way to
I
put
like
it.
that.
it's like a perfectly, worded thing, because it's nobody, like, the one thing that I love, and this is like the one thing I love, is they gave Damien Chazelle $80 million to make this movie, and I understand it hasn't made $80 million. It's not going to make $80 million, and it's going to be it's a bomb. Paramount is not sweating any money. They made $1 billion off of Top Gun alone, so they're perfectly fine giving. But it's just, I want them to give $80 million to more artistic projects like this.
Mhm.
And nothing against Marvel, nothing against Star Wars or any other Disney principle, but we see so many of those things. But I want to see more projects from these people. Like even the Northman this year. Northman had a big budget. I like the Northman. You know what I mean? It did bomb too, but like give these directors a chance to flex. You know what I mean? And sure, I'm sure Chazelle will go back in his little hole and make a $15 million film and it'll win 22 Oscars again. But like let him flex a little bit. You know what I mean? Let these directors flex.
Yeah.
Just like kind of like you with Damien Chazelle. I really like Roger Edgar, I think is his name.
Robert Eggers.
Robert Eggers' films. I love the atmosphere that he brings into the all the films that he's done. Haven't seen The Norseman yet, but I really want to. But like Lighthouse and The Witch are just so down to earth and simplistic that you don't need a whole lot to actually get what he's trying to say from those films. And you could say the same thing with Damien Chazelle. While Babylon is a very extravagant and glamorous film, that's kind of the point of it is to show the glamorous side and then to show the dark underbelly of what's going on. And he doesn't mince any words.
So it's still like reflecting reality to you.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I mean it's almost parodying it, but I don't think it's parodying it to the extent that most people would think.
Yeah.
All right. Well, does anybody have any other important thoughts that you want to make sure you get out about Babylon?
Yes, it's great. Please go see it here 75 times, please. We need to bring the money up.
I think people should see it. I think it's going to score bigger on VOD than people are thinking. But, if they hold it from streaming services for a little bit, I think they could get a little more money for it. But
right now, I think the only thing that's keeping people away from this film is its runtime. Because when I saw the runtime, I was like, do I really want to spend 3 hours of my time in a theater when I can watch a hour and a half to 2 hour film and just be done with it? But as much as I did feel the length of Babylon, but I also didn't mind the length. Like I didn't mind being in that world.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. This is This Film Not Rated. Again, we're a branch of the Drive-In Podcast Network where Ricky heads up the whole show. So head on over to the musiccitydrivein.com. Still, is it called? Yeah.
Yep.
And check out everything that they have there because all of it's gold. I'm Eric. You can follow me at High Contrast FLM literally everywhere. I got all of the links to be matching up. So
I am Curtis. You can find me on Twitter at 90sgamer407. And if I ever get back into streaming again, which I'm don't know, that is Merrick_tainment, where I play video games that I just like to play.
You can find me at RickyValero_ on Instagram, TikTok, and on Twitter, obviously. Check out the Music City Drive-In. We're pumping out some great content right now. A lot of best ofs dropping this week. Top 15 movies of the year, worst films of the year. I'm dropping a best comedy specials of the year in the next couple of days. Check out my Babylon review, which is on Hidden Remote. Sorry, I can't remember which place I wrote that for. But yeah, thank you guys. This has been a pleasure. I've loved you guys' show. I love being on here. I'm glad you guys are part of the network. Eric, it's crazy. Our relationship has come full circle the way it is off of a stupid video app. And I love it to death. I love you guys to death. Thank you guys for having me on today.
You're awesome.
Sure thing.
Thank you. All right.